the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
After half a mile, keep left.
In a quarter mile, keep right. Follow signs for I-95, I-280.
After a quarter of a mile, keep left towards Interstate 95.
Keep right.
Keep left, keep
Now
right.
keep left.
Continue on I.
After 3/4 of a mile, keep left.
There it is. We would have been down there on that one. Instead, we're up here on this one.
Follow the highway.
Following the highway. There's another truck. That's a good sign. When you're driving a semi, if you see other trucks on the same road you're on, it's probably okay for you to be on that road. And there's the truck going back north. There's Newark, New Jersey. Looks like we should have stayed to the right. If we just stayed on the right lane, we could have made it without the slowdown. So the truck route, he was telling me, said go this way. But if you'll notice, it's still the same road. You got the road over there and the road over here. We're all still, it's all 95. The whole thing's 95. And right here, we're just gonna be polite and let these people get in here. See how we're letting them in? See that? Now watch that guy. See how if they'll jump out in front of me, they'll also keep going. You'll notice that as you drive around. Just stay chill. You know what I mean? Now look, how many of them stayed in my lane and how many of them got on over? I guess those milestones stayed. And that dude, that red car, he's nervous. You know what I mean? He's just like, oh man, they're all over me. Right? I'm just cruising through here. Real nonchalant. No problems. That little boy, he's about to take a exit somewhere. We got Enterprise rental truck over here. These are what you gotta watch out for. Let me slow down here and let you get looking over Enterprise here. Enterprise is a rental company. Now, you see that guy right there? He probably doesn't have a lot of experience because he's in a rental truck. So even though look at this, I'm losing all that space on the road. But I'm not right next to that guy that he used to drive that size of equipment. You know what I mean? I got a garbage truck right beside me now, but he's driving an old ass garbage truck, so that thing's been working for years, probably. Probably not the new guy. So if I'm going to drive right next to somebody, I'm going to drive right next to the experienced guy. Oh, that's a garbage truck. Oh, it's a cement truck right next to me. He's supposed to come up. You get a look at Mr. Cement. It's a black color. He had a big old goatee. It was real straight. I wonder if we put that on an iron to straighten his goatee. That's crazy. I've never seen anybody with such a straight beard. Looks stiff. Now see this guy right here? That's a box truck. See how it's old? It got a little big bag at the top or whatever. That guy knows what he's doing. Ain't that right? I hear you know, on your way to New York City, most people don't think, you know, this is not a swamp. But here we are. You know what I mean? Driving over the top of a swamp. A lot of people don't realize that. And now you can see the difference. See how that one went off over and trailed off that way? This is going on straight. So the difference is we're going to go up here and go George Washington Bridge instead of going that other way, because on the other side of the George Washington Bridge is big roads like this. On the other side of that bridge is little roads, and then, I mean, they still got big numbers, but it's a little road. You know what I mean? It's not, yeah. Anyway, you go that way for my destination. If I knew a good spot to go down there, get off the highway, get back on the highway, coming back the other way, it would be appropriate. Cool. I don't know where, does that exist? I do not know. I ain't trying to find out. You know what I'm saying? Been across this George Washington Bridge, you know, off and on, you know, 35 years. You know, riding with Dad to semi back in the day, all the way till since I was today years old. You know, I just predicted the future here, but in a short while, I will be going across, you know, the George Washington Bridge. That's my intention. So, I got hurt in Jersey.com. I wonder if that's like a traffic lawyer or something. Might be a psychiatrist. Anyways, yeah, I mean, people don't think there's a lot of swamp out here. I could probably zoom in, but if I looked over to the right, in the distance you can see all the downtown Manhattans and all that kind of stuff. It's over there. It's right over there on the other side of that swampy stuff. I'm not making this phone up to show you that. I'm going to keep both hands on the wheel, seat belted in, doing right. Unless there's a guy on the side of here, I'm going to pay attention to that. Did you see that guy on the side? Leave that down in the comments. Did you see the guy on the side? I see the guy on the side. I chose to do right instead of picking up the phone. Did you see a U-Haul guy? He don't know what he's doing either. That's the guys you gotta watch out for. And, you know, back in the day, all these people were foreign, but you didn't realize it until you tried to talk to them. You know what I mean? Because they favored European immigrants, right? So it was, you know, you come from Oklahoma, and you get up here, and, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some Puerto Ricans and stuff, and, you know, there's black people everywhere, but they favored, back in the day, the European immigrants. So until you talk to some guy, you didn't realize this dude just got off the boat from Poland. And that was a real predominant thing. And it's where they switched up the, where they're coming from. That's where you got a different caliber of persons. So a Western society, going to a Western society, there's going to be overlap, right? You take somebody out of, you know, Africa or wherever like that, you know, like Somalia or something like that. In that case, you know, that person's going to have a harder time integrating and all that. So they're going to be more vulnerable to all the chicken shittery of the Western, you know, they're going to get taken advantage of because they don't know nothing. And they don't understand the systems and stuff like that. So it's more difficult for them. They're at a greater disadvantage. But even somebody, you know, just come from, you know, Europe, they might not speak right, and then the handlers, I guess would be the best way to call it. So you get a group of people that are coming on a regular basis, and somebody's going to be dealing with that group of people on a regular basis. And, you know, say they got a company cleaning houses, right? So this is, you know, these people come over, they don't know nobody, they don't know the system, whatever else like that. They're like, you know, here's, you know, Sarah's cleaning service or whatever like that. And those people will take advantage of them. They'll be like, you know, we're gonna pay you X amount, but it's not really that good. You know what I mean? It's not that good. And then, same everything happens in the farms and everything else like that. That's just the way the world is. That's the way humans are. You know what I mean? So it makes sense why these people want the stop people from getting taken advantage of. You know, financially or physically or any, just some do right. And then people don't understand that the Mosaic Law, it talks about that type of stuff, and that you're supposed to take people in and treat them like they're your brother or sister or your kids or whatever. What's their in your establishment, in your employ, pay them a fair wage for the service given and pay them on time and look out for them. Make sure they got food. Make sure they got a good place to stay. Get in and out of the cold, whatever. But that comes with a responsibility from the individual to assimilate to the ways of the Mosaic Law. You know what I mean? And that's why, they didn't give you food. They left the corners of the field. So if you're hungry and you're passing through and you don't know nobody or whatever else like that, they're like, you can harvest that grain over there, grind it yourself, and make yourself a loaf of bread. There's the pizza oven over there. There's a bill, and there's some grain out there in the field.
Interstate 95.
I'm not bringing you. I'm not bringing you. Toasted with butter and eggs, and putting you up in the Holiday Inn, and all this other kind of stuff. Like I'm gonna treat you right, but I'm not gonna pamper you. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's the disconnect. You know what I mean? You got these blue hairs and everything. They don't realize the actual truth of how that should be. And given the opportunity to have a place to stay and have food and all this other kind of stuff, that's biblically righteous. God likes that. And then just feed somebody that has no respect, and then they act like they own everything, and then they want to tell me how to live my life when they, if it was some people where you come from, why'd you come over? You know what I mean? And the system that made this place good, that made you want to come here, you wanting to, now change that to your way so it resembles where you came from, and you don't like where you came
In a
from.
quarter mile, keep left to stay on I-95.
I can't let you tear up my
Follow signs
house.
for toll plaza
You know what I mean?
exits.
That would be stupid. I've worked for generations to have this farm, and if I'm gonna have to deal with suffer the slings and arrows of the prairie
Keep left to stay on
to develop this
I-95.
homestead, then I rebuilt this home after the tornado tore it down. And now you think you're just going to come in here and just prop your feet up on my table and be disrespectful? Yeah, like no, I'm not required to do that. I'm not required to do that. Under the Mosaic Law, there's no need for me, and I might actually be breaking what God wants me to do in those situations by allowing you to do that. I could be defiling my home by putting up with your false gods and evil ways. So, I mean, it's not just help somebody out. I'm also required to be a good steward of the land. And then time and time again, we see in the Bible that when His people turn away from Him, they get retarded leadership, and then due to the bad policies and retards, they get smashed out and overrun by the enemy. And then after a thorough suffering, they say, "Oh God, I'm sorry." Then they repent from their wickedness and they turn back to God's ways. starts working out because he gives them good leaders at that point. It's happened over and over. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears involved in that. But it's for the greater good of mankind. The Creator gave us the earth and gave us these situations so that we could grow into Christ likeness. Okay, so Christ obeyed the entirety of the law, and he died to pay our sin debt. So we have the grace, but not one jot, not one tittle. The smallest part of the law did not disappear. And Paul said, I knew right from wrong by observing the law. Before I seen the law, I didn't even know what was right or wrong. And then somehow, the church has thought if I don't look at it, then I'm not held accountable. In my opinion, you have the entire book. The only reason why you don't know is because you didn't read it.
1.5 miles. Use the right lane.
So if I go to school,
I-95 north exit toward US 46 Fort Lee.
if I go to school and I don't pass the test and I tell the teacher,
Found a faster route via I-95 north, which saves 3 minutes. If you prefer to stay on the current route, tap no thanks.
you got options. You can just choose to not read it. But on that day, when you're in the test and you failed the test and you tell the teacher, I did not read the material, what good teacher would say, oh, well, in that case, we'll just let you pass anyway? It doesn't have to bring the truth, y'all. It doesn't have to bring the truth. I mean, it's in the very beginning of the book for a reason. I don't open any book to the last chapters, read that, and then think I know everything. That would be insane. It's not the way books work. Generally, I read the cover, okay? The Holy Bible. I open it up. It says Genesis. It says in the beginning. And I start reading right there. If I can make it to the 3rd chapter, the first time I ever read it, then I am, highly blessed with understanding. If I could read the first 3 chapters of Genesis the first time and comprehend what's going on, then that would be real good. Because I'm telling you right now, I've read it quite a bit, and it's difficult. And there's there's a lot of different angles and perspectives, and based upon your age and stage, you know what I mean? I'm not going to expect a baby to eat a T-bone steak. You know what I mean? That would be crazy. And then, if I'm walking through Walmart, my kid's 25 years old, and he just, poops his pants, I'm like, bro, get away from me, dude. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? He ain't sick or nothing like that. He just like, stops, makes that face he made when he was a kid, and just starts moving. I'm just gonna walk away. I'm gonna act like I don't know this dude. You know what I mean? I'll wait for him in the parking lot or whatever. You know what I mean? But just like, he's 25 years old, just standing there, shitting himself. You know what I mean? You're taking a class. You know what I mean? You've got an associate's degree in college, and now you're just like, oh, I didn't read the book, so pass me
Quarter
anyway.
mile. Use any lane to take the I-95 north exit toward US 46 Fort Lee.
You're going to stand there on Judgment Day in front of God and all the angels and be like, oh, well, I didn't know what day of the week I was supposed to rest. God in all his grace and goodness
Use any lane.
might say something along the lines of, well, did you look? You know what I mean? Like they're going over the things you did in your life. You're standing there in front of God and all the angels talking about the way you spent your time on earth. And it's like, well, did you ever read Numbers? Did book that had Numbers and Leviticus? Pretty sure you did. Did you take the time to look? Well, how could you say that you love God and you love righteousness if you never studied what God says is right and what God says is wrong? If you're clueless of right and wrong, okay, and then you just take the word of somebody else and they're reading it 13 times translated whatever, and it's just like, are you sure? Are you sure? Did you search that out yourself? That's the journey. Just trying to figure out what it says is a struggle. And you're going to find these things. And as you find these things, you will mature into Christ's likeness. And you're not going to be able to do everything. You're going to mess it up. But there's grace for that. But to just not look at all, because you never had the thought to read the book for yourself, but you just took somebody's word for it. You know what I mean? It's dangerous.
I-95 lower level in 4 miles. You're still on the fastest route.
It's super dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. I don't know that that's. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't trust none of y'all. I'm going to read the book for myself and what it says. I'm going to try to operate appropriately to the, best of my ability, because I think that's what's actually required. And in the process of doing that, my life has become difficult in areas, and as I overcome those challenges,
Quarter mile. Keep
I
right to stay on
feel like
I-95
I'm
north.
blessed.
Follow signs for George Washington Bridge, Fort Lee.
I feel like I'm blessed by it.
Quarter of a mile, keep right towards Interstate 95 lower level.
I'm to the point where I can have clothes on my back
Keep right to stay on I-95 north.
and food,
Now keep right.
and that's enough. In all reality, I kind of feel stupid
After 3 miles, keep
working
left.
to get all this stuff that I know doesn't amount to a hill of beans. To be honest with you, my selfish ambition has become it's non-existent. My pride has become, I don't care. You know what I mean? I want to have a roof over my family's head and leave a legacy pointing towards God. See, I know God's watching this. Here's this other thing, right? Okay, so everybody's worried about the phone watching. God has angels assigned to you that write down everything you say and do, and why you're doing it. Like the motivator behind your motivation, like where's your heart at when you say the words you say, when you do the things that you do? Where is your heart at? What is your motivator on this deal? You know what I mean? God looks to the heart of men. You see what I'm saying? So, if you're saying and doing it, I mean, you could be, super Christian. God knows what's in Billy Graham's heart when he's, doing a revival. Okay? Now that's Billy and God. I don't know where his heart's at. I can't say if he's going to make it or not. I can't say that for anybody. God knows. All right? So, a long time ago, I come to the determination that if somebody's watching me, if somebody's following me around, I want to listen. I want to live my life in a manner that if somebody followed me through every nuance of my life, after they looked for a while, they would become Christian. Like, that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal. Like, my mission statement is to take over the earth for Jesus. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be more than a conqueror in His name. And basically, that's, set about righteousness everywhere I go. You know what I mean? And that's the mission statement. Shoot for the stars, land on the moon, whatever. that's done is to walk in obedience. Okay, so if you take your dog to obedience training, they're going to teach you to sit, stay, heel. You know what I mean? If I let patience have its perfect work, I will be complete, lacking nothing. I will have no lack, and patience is going to do the work.
There's a 17-minute slowdown on I-95 upper level in a quarter mile.
Trucks.
You're still on the fastest route.
Last exit before the tunnel. I think I'm in the right lane. I'm trying to go across this George Washington Bridge. At this point, they got so many signs saying how to get it done. I think because I'm over here, that's a different road going north. That's the same thing. You still gotta go to the left. Anyway, we're gonna find out. This is how you get lost in a semi-truck in New York City. Those are the projects they talk about. A lot of red brick buildings up here. It actually looks really old. Like everything was cool up here in the 80s and 70s and 80s, and it was really going on. And then now, like, if you drive through Austin, I think you come up here to New York City, you're like, wow, this place is a dump. It's crazy. And it's easier to develop fresh land than to rebuild. And, the powers that be, World War II and all that, I mean, you want to get into conspiracy theory, how much of that bombing them people and everything else like that was just the demo phase so they can rebuild into a more industrialized situation? I've never heard a YouTuber talk about that. I really haven't. I need to start a whole other channel, Rabbit Holes with Skip. I like to call it a train of thought because rabbit hole implies like some, Alice in Wonderland thing, where a train of thought is like logical steps from A to B with a probability, and it's rooted in reality. You know what I mean? So like even these all these people that say the rabbit hole, and other people that realize what that is, like you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're putting this fantasy land nonsense into what you're saying. Whereas if it's my train of thought, it's like, I'm critically thinking here, and, this is a probability, and these things are my theory. You know what I mean? So that would make me a theologian. Okay? And a theologian, it's not just about different religions. A theoretical physicist. Neil Tyson deGrasse is a theologian. You know what I mean? They don't know. They're just saying, well, it's probably this, well, it's probably that, right? And then I'm skeptical. So as I'm reading this Bible, it makes sense. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, well, my son passed away. I'd like to see him again. Is it just over when we die, or is there something else? You know what I mean? Is it just over when we die? Or are we just taking a dirt nap and it don't matter? If that's the case, then every religion is the biggest, you know what I mean? It's the biggest crock of shit you ever heard in your life, man. The dumbest shit ever. And then, like all roads don't go the same place. You know, I mean, there's several roads that go into New York City. But if you're going to drive this semi across the George Washington Bridge at 4 miles an hour, apparently, you want to make sure you're in the correct lane. Because it might not work out for you. There again, seeing other semis. The road that I'm on probably does not have a low overpass. This Daylight Donuts guy right beside me, in his day cab truck, probably drives through here quite a bit. Okay, now you see that sign over there that says all trucks to New York upper level, and it's pointing to where I'm at. also a solid indicator. And it says Palisades Parkway, Portland, George Washington Bridge, lower level, no trucks. And then there's, right past that, a bunch more signs. One of them saying 1311, merge signs, all this other kind of stuff. So, when you get all carried about English proficiency in driving a truck, dude, how is somebody that can't read and write English going to drive down through here and get on the right road? In this video and in other videos, you will hear multiple GPS devices telling me to go left, telling me to go right at the same intersection. And I know where I'm at, and I know that I'm supposed to go straight. I mean, it's like, has your GPS ever got you lost? Okay, so what happens when, some person comes from this other country and they rode a bicycle their whole life? You know what I mean? Like, you want somebody that's been driving on American roads, reading American road signs for at least 5 years before you let them drive a truck. That's just common sense. You know what I mean? And then, even then, if you're a foreign driver that does not know the rules of the American road, then you should have to team drive with an American, for 6 months. I mean, 5 years of living in the United States, and then 6 months being a team driver with somebody that's got 5 years experience driving. You know what I mean? So this dude's been here for 5. This guy's been driving for 12. Yeah, put them 2 dudes together for 6 months. You know what I mean? And pay that guy to train the other guy right. And then if you're going to put all that investment in there, make that a pathway to citizenship. So now this person that's driving an 80,000-pound vehicle has some skin in the game. You know what I mean? He ain't thinking to himself, oh, well, I'm just going to send all my money back to, Jamaica. Oh, I got a big house in Jamaica. And I've told a guy, he said that. He said, I've been here driving trucks for 16 years. I'm fixed to quit and move back to Jamaica. I got a big house there. I was like, so you have been in the United States for 16 years, and, you've had 11 kids by 6 women, and the only thing you care about is now you're going to sell out and go to Jamaica where you have a big house. I said, so where's all these kids at? He said, oh, they're here. So I'm like, so you don't care about your kids? You don't care about this country, and all you care about is this big house back there? And he looked at me and he's like, yeah. Why would I care about here? I was like, dang, man. So this dude's even got skin in the game and still don't care. And that's where I realized that this dude came from a different place. They don't have the same values. They don't have the same upbringing. And also, this dude's like, probably 45, 50 years old. I had been here 16 years. So, from birth until he was 30, he grew up somewhere else. He's got the values and the commonality of where they come from. So if we bring that person like that here, there should be some expectation that they would, learn how to do things our ways. And apparently he did. He's out here, got his own truck and trailer. He's hauling freight. He's doing stuff. He's repopulating the earth. And he's building his retirement where he sees fit, which is cool. I did ask him what happens when the hurricane comes and blows the stupid house away. And because we were talking about the type of house he had. Oh, yeah, you got a big house? Oh, yeah, you have 11 rooms and yada, yada, yada. How long have you had this house? Oh, we just built it this summer. Oh, yeah? Did you use Florida standards? He's like, what are Florida standards? I said, for the hurricanes and stuff. Like block walls and tied rebar and hurricane straps on the rafters and, did you spray foam down the tile roof type of deal and all this kind of stuff? He's like, oh, no, we just built it. I don't have money for all that. So I'm like, bro, so you're telling me the seed from your loins you're going to abandon to go to an island where there's definitely going to be a hurricane to live in this big house that's not hurricane resistant? That don't make no sense to me. You know what I mean? That don't make no sense to me. You know, like, hey, we're in Texas there, the chances of getting a hurricane blowing through Dallas, tearing everything up is minimal. Not a lot of earthquakes. Tornadoes happen. It's pretty hit and miss on that deal. But we got family and stuff. I'm gonna stick around on this earth as long as I can to take care of family. I call them kinfolk. I consider other Christians kinfolk. You know what I mean? So not just for myself go out here and drive the truck. That's my fellow truck driver right there. I know he's doing everything he can to get to where he's going. But he needs to be able to get over. Now look at this guy right here. He's an asshole. That's an asshole right there. That's what he's doing. He's being an asshole. So you let one in, and you got this asshole, doing his thing. And that little car, we're just gonna let that little car do his thing. I ain't gonna jam him up. I ain't gonna jam him up. Now we'll let this guy in. Look at this. We'll let this guy in right here. So when they try to cut you off, you gotta, tighten up a little bit. See, he's an asshole too. See how he jumped over in front of that guy? I mean, if you want over, turn your blinker on a little bit. Look at this guy right here. Look. See there? Let him in like it ain't no big deal. Now look at this guy, this box truck right here on the left. Now see, I'm just driving real good. And see that 01 guy right there? That's it, dude. The first one I called an asshole. How much further is that guy down the road than I am? Now he's driving reckless, and I'm driving safe. That's the big difference. That dude, that box truck, he's just whipping around and all that kind of stuff. He gonna be in a wreck. He gonna get in a wreck. Now look at this big old thing opened up to the side of me. You can't see it, but I was clear for days. There's 4 truck lanes beside me. And I'm able to step left, add some room for these people. And now that I'm in the left lane, there's going to be less people cutting me off. So that's good. It's probably going to be a 2-hour long video. See how that guy's an asshole? He ain't even got no blinker on or nothing. But see, I realize that guy's an asshole. That's why I ain't trying to jam him up. See how I leave that room out in front of the truck? That's the way you do it. And even doing this, I've had him run up there and run into me. I had a guy, I was on the George Washington Bridge, coming the other way, and this dude just ran up right beside me, and he cut it so close, the only part of his car that made contact was with the threaded part of the lug studs. He didn't even hit the lug nuts. Some of the lug nut covers were still on, but that tire's turning, and it just run down that sheet metal down the side of that car, and it just opened that so much like a can opener. It looked horrific, and of course they were able to drive off and everything. It was no big deal. See this guy right here? Look at this. Look, we're gonna let this guy in. See there? No big deal. No big deal. Get on over there, sir. Okay, now look at him. We're gonna drive on fast, zip zap, zoom around, and then they just stop. How hard is that on your equipment? You know what I mean? You're jamming on the gas, you're jamming on the brakes. You're sloshing around all your freight. Ain't no need all that. How much for see the first guy I called an asshole, he's just now underneath that 13-9 bridge right there. He right there, boom, he's underneath it. Coming out further now. There's one car, one truck, and one car in between him and me. That's it. He did all that. He did all that reckless driving. For nothing. For nothing. And he's stressed out. He's hanging onto the steering wheel, rocking back and forth. Got a cigarette going. Stressed out. Headed for a stroke. We're just gonna thank God, thank Jesus. Here's the George Washington Bridge. This is that one that they sell to the migrants over and over. They say, hey man, I'll give you this piece of paper and then you can charge money for everybody driving across that bridge. I'll sell you that bridge. Some soft-headed son bitch takes the piece of paper, gives him some money. Oh, Slick runs off with the money.
1.5 miles. Take the exit toward Harlem River Drive.
Clearance ahead, 13.6. You
There are
see
police
that?
reported ahead.
I can see the cop. Well, I'd seen something back there. See, we're just taking it easy. We're just taking it easy. We ain't gonna stress out. This day I said before you, life and death. Choose life. Speeding wrecks your day. So this is the New York, this is the George Washington Bridge. Those are all cables hanging down there. That's a big bundle of cables. Yes, it is as bouncy as it sounds. When you look at my truck in these videos, you think that guy lives like a pig. Why don't he clean it up? Well, let me pick up your pantry and your kitchen, your bed, and all your stuff in your house and shake it real good.
After half a mile,
We'll see what that looks like. There's a projects over there to the right. There's some on the left too. It's like a whole other world in there. There's some people, they live in there and they'll come out of that building and they'll go about walking distance any direction. And they'll come back to that building. And they'll just live that way their whole life. I can't imagine that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they'll take a trip somewhere, you know. Like they're really gonna go see something. They might go to Connecticut or whatever. It's just, this whole place is stank, man. It is stank. It's so overpopulated. And just like, look at what it takes. This is a good day. This is a good day. This is actually really good traffic. This is one of the fastest times I've ever drove across this bridge. Ever. I've been across this sucker more times than I can count. And there's no Penske, the asshole.
after half a mile, keep left.
You're gonna watch him outdoors. He don't realize how wide his trailer is. He'll probably get into us if we get up there beside him. He's doing pretty good, but I don't trust him. Something sneaking past him here. Get next to that reefer truck. He's in there, get past him. Oh, we're up to 33 miles an hour. This is like taking this son of a bitch it's like a NASCAR track right now or something. This is the fastest I've ever been down
Left
there.
towards Interstate 95.
1,000 feet. Take the exit toward Harlem River
I
Drive.
call this section right here piss bottle plains, especially on the other side. You'll see everybody, they're just piss bottles everywhere. It's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing ever. I mean, they're just gallons. There's some right there. Some Gatorade bottles full of piss. Crazy. This is piss bottle plains right here.
Take the exit toward Harlem River Drive.
There's another one right there. Did you see it? I hope that's on camera. There's one right there.
After continue on Harlem River Drive.
There's two right there on the other side of that pole.
Interstate 87 towards
Dude, that guy's dehydrated. That was almost red.
Right lane to take exit 1C for I-87 South toward Queens.
Okay. Alright. I gotta get over it, sis. We're just gonna keep going. People honking. We got a honky up here somewhere. Oh, there's those slick. That's who they're honking at right there. Look, them two dump trucks are racing. Oh, yeah.
Now keep right
Use
to
the
take the
second from
exit.
the right lane to take exit 1CD, then keep left to continue on exit 1D.
After 1,100 feet, keep left to take exit 1 towards Interstate 87 South Queens. After 4 miles, keep right to take the exit.
Okay. All right, we're gonna get off here and try to figure out where we're going. I don't know where the hell I'm going. Rock Hill.